Welcome back to Wake Up America. I'm Alex Kramer. Now let's take a look at your money and today's business headlines. And for help with that, we're going to bring in business and markets analyst and Newsmax contributor Seth Denson. Good morning, Seth.
Hey, good morning, Alex.
All right, well, the markets started the week closing up yesterday. The Dow soaring thanks to some positive news on behalf of big banks, but this morning futures are way down. So, Seth, what's behind this latest up and down?
Well, listen, investors, I think, are clinging on to any good news or negative news. Yesterday, earnings reports on the banks came out. They're doing really well, obviously backed by what's going on with interest rates. And so that was a big player in this. Then you factor in today, well, now you got a bunch of retail folks coming out with their earnings today. So, Best Buy, Nordstrom, some of these others. So when you factor that in, I think investors are a little hesitant about today. You also had some rally buyers, some folks, I think, over the weekend that had the opportunity to look at some good stocks that might be on sale, and they bought them up. So I think that's what's probably playing into it today.
All right. Well, how about Jerome Powell, who was sworn in yesterday for a second term as Federal Reserve Chairman? He's now expected to make a speech at a summit today. Investors are also waiting on new home sale numbers, as well as some more earnings reports. So do you anticipate this affecting Wall Street today?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Like I said, I think that the biggest thing that's going to affect Wall Street, barring Jerome Powell coming out and saying something that makes everybody's head spin, is what's going to go on with these retails. You got Best Buy, Nordstrom, I think Abercrombie and Fitch. All these folks are going to start releasing these earnings. And I think we're going to see a lot of what we saw at Walmart and Target, which is consumer confidence is down and just the consumers aren't spending money. The consumer is really driving this market right now. Everything is going to be based on the consumer. And what we're seeing is, with inflation up, consumers are pulling back. They're holding off. They're not spending the money they used to spend, even though it was in wide circulation. So you start to think about this inflationary structure where there's a lot of money out there in circulation, but consumers, they're holding it back. And so that's really sending the markets into a tailspin. I don't know if Jerome Powell saying anything is going to do anything unless he finally tells us what transitory means. Maybe that will help.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit to just a crisis right here. Emergency shipment of baby formula has arrived in the U.S. from Germany. Now, the national out-of-stock rate rose once again to 45% in May. All of this as three of the major U.S. formula suppliers prepare to testify before Congress next week. Do you see an end in sight in the next 8 weeks, or are we going to enter a summer where parents are just going to keep struggling to feed their kids?
I'd love to tell you that I think that the end is near. I don't. This formula just doesn't get made. It's a 12-week process to get it onto store shelves, and Abbott Labs factory is just now getting back online. So, I don't know that there's a way to speed up that process. If there is, hopefully they'll figure it out, but they can't. They can't risk not doing it right. Your quality control. That's what got them into this position in the first place. I know the Biden administration is flying some planes, and for every plane, I think I heard something about 9 to 15,000 kids can get fed off of that. Well, that's great. Let's get the planes back in the air. Let's keep flying them. Yeah. That's what needs to help because these parents certainly need it. So I'm not optimistic that this thing gets this timeline gets shortened. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a long 8, 10, 12 weeks.
All right, let's talk about Starbucks for a moment. The coffee giant, now the latest U.S. company to announce it's not just pausing operations in Russia, but it's leaving the country altogether. This is a pretty big statement for Starbucks, isn't it, Seth?
It really is. And Starbucks has never shied away from the political. They've been relatively strategic, I think, about how they approached it. But this is a big statement for them. They've always been big on talking about human rights and things like the environment, and this is a statement for them saying that, hey, we're not going to be part of this anymore in Russia, which, listen, from a financial perspective, their stock is drastically down. We're talking nearly 40% year to date. So this is not a company that's financially doing well. And again, as we do enter into a very big consumer pullback, the quickest way you're going to pull back is that $20 cup of coffee. And so, for them to go ahead and make this statement tells you that maybe they're thinking that either A, there's some good benefit from a PR perspective here, or B, they actually believe in what they talk about, which is human rights and what's going on over there.
Let's talk a little more about inflation. And how about this? A cost of a trip to Walt Disney World. I mean, many families are feeling they're just being completely priced out at this point. I know even a decade ago, 20 years ago, it was extremely expensive. And with inflation, it's even more at this point. I mean, has the happiest place on earth become just flat out unaffordable to most families?
Yeah, you know, Mrs. Denson, we're big Disney people here. I've been working on my Mickey voice because I'm worried that we're not going to be able to take the kids anymore.
Wait, we got to hear it then. Seth, come on.
Hot dog, oh boy.
That's great.
So listen, I'm trying. It's not perfect. But we're working on it. But on national television, she just got me to do that. All right. So, but here's the reality. Disney is expensive, but it's been expensive. It's just going to get more expensive. But last time I was there, even though it was expensive, there was certainly a lot of people in the doors. Disney's got a lot of revenue they got to make up. They got to try to find a way to get more revenue back. They were down billions during the pandemic, and so they've got to get that money back. Maybe raising the rates is it, but if not, you know, just call old Uncle Seth, and he'll give you a little bit of Mickey Mouse, apparently.
That was incredible. All right, before we go, we got, about 30 seconds left. I do want to touch on Arby's. They're obviously known for their roast beef sandwiches, but now they're adding hamburgers to the menu for the first time in nearly 60 years of their existence. All right, Seth, why are they doing this?
One of two reasons, Alex, and of course Arby's is hard to get financial reporting out of, but either A, they're hurting and they're needing a new marketing scheme to get people in the door, or B, they've got supply chain challenges on their roast beef. I will tell you, as a personal experience, I am a big fan of Arby's, and I went not long ago. I pulled up to the drive-thru and she said, hey, we're out of roast beef today, but you can have anything you want. I'm going, wait a minute. You're a roast beef sandwich company. So, I don't know what's behind this. We see restaurants do this, fast food chains try to get some marketing, try to get some eyeballs. Maybe that's it, but hopefully they can keep the roast beef going because I'm a fan.
All right. Thank you, Seth Denson, for coming on this morning.
All right, Alex. We'll talk soon.